Hi there, it's Mark Blackwood with Real Property Management Pros here in Northern Virginia. I wanted to give you an update on the CARES Act. This is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act passed by Congress and signed into law by the President last Friday. There's two important sections here that I want to cover with you. The first one is the eviction moratorium section, and the second one is a section on mortgage forbearance. I think they're both very relevant to you as a landlord client of ours. So, first, a disclosure. I am not an attorney. I put this presentation together only for educational purposes. I'm not giving you any legal advice. Please seek legal counsel before making any legal or investment decisions. That being said, I want to take the time to make this and boil it down to as simple of terms as possible for you. The first part of what we need to talk about is Section 4024, the temporary moratorium on eviction filings. So, what is covered? What properties are covered by this moratorium on eviction filings? Any tenant-occupied property that has FHA, VA, Fannie Mae, or Freddie Mac loans, right? And that's whether it's 1 to 4 units or 5 or more units. The beneficiaries of this provision are residential tenants who dwell in one of these covered properties. What it means for the tenants is that they cannot be evicted for non-payment of rent or any other non-fee or any other fees or charges. And we are prohibited from charging any fees, penalties, or other charges to the tenant related to the non-payment of rent. This is for a 120-day period, so that goes until about July 27th of 2020. Then there's some further requirements there. The lessor, that's the landlord or their agent, the property manager, must give the tenant 30-day notice to vacate. And that 30-day notice to vacate must be submitted after July 27th, 2020, approximately. So the earliest that means that a tenant would have to be moved out would be August 27th, 2020. In reality, we're going to have to file in Virginia a 5-day notice, and we would file that, just after the 27th when this expires. Then, if they don't cure within 5 days, then we would have to file the eviction, get a court date. We don't know how long it'll take to get a court date at that point. There'll probably be quite a backlog. So, what properties are not covered by this provision? So if you own your property 100% and have no mortgage on it, then this provision would not apply to you. Or if you have a private mortgage or a mortgage that is not financed or backed by the federal government, then it would not apply. However, I want to make clear that even if the CARES Act, Section 4024, does not apply to your property, a judicial emergency was declared by the Virginia Supreme Court, and the courts are closed. So effectively, this means that there is a state-level moratorium on eviction filings, all eviction filings, regardless of the financing of the property in Virginia. It's just shut down. So that may open up sooner than the 120-day provision in the CARES Act. We'll be continuing to monitor that. We will be in touch with you if your tenant is not paying rent so that we can find out which of these are applicable in your particular case and act accordingly. So to just summarize, once again, Section 4024 of the CARES Act means that residential properties secured by a federal loan may not evict, charge late fees, or give a 30-day notice to vacate to the tenants until after July 27th, 2020. And we've got a link here to the bill, and it'll be below the video here if you want to go and read the full text of the CARES Act for yourself. So the second part that I want to talk to you about is Section 4022. which is the foreclosure moratorium and a consumer right to request forbearance. So why might this matter for you? As a homeowner, if you're experiencing any financial hardship from the Corona-19 pandemic, maybe it's your personal financial situation not related to the tenant paying rent, or if, as a landlord, you're not receiving rental income because the tenants are not paying rent, then this provision may be applicable to you if you need that rental income or are having a hard time paying your mortgage. You don't want your rental property to go into foreclosure, and so this can help protect you against that. So the beneficiaries here, any single family through fourplex loans that are secured by FHA, VA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and it doesn't specifically say it. Rental properties versus owner occupied. There's no distinction made by that in the law. However, it's kind of implied because you can't have a fourplex and an owner occupy all 4 units. You'd be renting part of it out anyways. So applies to rental properties as well as owner occupied. So what are the benefits of this provision or this section of the Act? Number one, the forbearance duration. It's 180 days. Plus, I think that it says that you can request an additional 180 days. So it could be up to a total of 1 year. It says that there could be no fees, penalties, or interest beyond the amount scheduled or calculated as if the borrower made all contractual payments on time. So, and it says that the bank cannot foreclose or do any foreclosure evictions until about May 16th of 2020. Essentially, what it seems like they're trying to do here is just press the pause button, right? These payments would just be extended or added onto the back end of your mortgage, and so that seems to be what the situation is. They don't want to have a whole big housing crisis again, where the banks end up foreclosing a lot of people's homes. So really, all that's required is for you to submit a request to the loan servicer. And it says, affirm that the borrower is experiencing a financial hardship during the COVID-19 emergency. There's no proof or criteria necessary. You just ask, and it's yours. Even if the loan servicer is asking a bunch of questions, it's not required in the law. You should be able to get this if your loan is federally backed and covered under the CARES Act. So what's not covered, if you have just a normal loan from your bank that's not federally insured or backed in some way, or if you had a loan from a family member, private mortgage, all that sort of stuff, not covered. But probably 70 to 80% of mortgages out there are federally backed in some way. So there's a pretty good likelihood that your financing would fall under this provision and you'd be covered. If you have a question about whether your home is or isn't covered or insured, again, call your loan servicer. They're required to give you that information about who owns your loan, and they should be able to answer the question for you. So to summarize, Section 4022, single-family homes to fourplexes with federally backed loans may ask for up to a total of 360 days of no payments, fees, penalties, or interest. So, that could be very useful if you're having trouble or if your tenants are not paying rent. So thank you very much. Hopefully this was informative to you. If you'd like to stay informed about policies that will affect your rental property, you can send an email over to support@managementpros, say I'm in. Our customer support team will make sure you're added to the list and getting these updates as we send them out, and stay abreast of all of the very important legislation and regulatory environment and changes that are going on as we go through the COVID-19 emergency. Thanks.